Hey everyone, welcome to An Eventful Life with Brad Cox and Shane Buzzer. I'm Brad.
And I'm Shane.
An Eventful Life is the podcast where we take you on a journey through eventful lives of inspirational event industry leaders from around the world.
That's right. We'll be sharing their stories, impact, and insight into the complex world of events. So if you like these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your mates.
This is An Eventful Life. Good morning, Buzz. How are you, mate? We're back again.
Welcome. Hope you had a good weekend.
I did, mate. How was yours?
It was awesome. Saw a Beatle, Paul McCartney.
Unbelievable.
81 and just phenomenal what he's rocking out. Covers of Jimi Hendrix, a catalogue as long as you can believe, and very special moment. My mum went and my nephew went.
Oh, nice. Family affair.
Yeah, it was like a whole generational thing.
I'm going to say how amazing that a guy like that can just appeal to so many generations and gets to 81 years of age and still entertains the masses and everyone knows who he is.
Exactly. And what about yourself? What did you get up to?
Mate, I had a relatively quiet weekend, actually. I was running around doing the family thing on Saturday, and I actually ended up down at the racetrack on Sunday. So, motorsport's my...
You didn't see much then?
No, unfortunately, it was all wet and miserable down at Phillip Island. But, no, it was all good for fun, so can't complain, and we're back into it for another week. So
And a morning one. Well, you haven't done many morning recordings, which means we've got the coffees and treats and morning teas. And
I must say, I know the listeners can't see the studio, but there's currently 3 lots of slices on the table. There's coffees everywhere, which is normally it's champagne and beer, but I need the coffee this morning, and I believe you do as well, yeah?
Sure. Let's not touch on that too much. But yeah.
See, it was a big night on Saturday. You can't do this when you're getting older. You end up with 2-day hangovers.
Thanks.
Hey, today's episode, we're doing a slightly different path and a little bit more obscure to what you would think from an event-related podcast, but events are made up of all sorts of skill sets, and there's so much that happens behind the scenes and backstage. So we thought we'd give the listeners and you guys a bit of an insight into one of those aspects. And
well, it's been a bit of a trend. I mean, we've had Marcus, representing the chefs in the events world, and Harry with security. We've had Gab, event hire. We've had all the various layers, but today is next level as far as the diversity.
Yeah, well, we touched on lack of hair in last week's episode, and today I think we're taking that to the next level for you and me, because most people would not be thinking of us when you say hair and makeup. However, this man is at the top of his game in making us all look fantastic, from on stage to the red carpet at the biggest events across the world. He is truly the hairdresser to the stars, has won International Hairdresser and Barber of the Year, is a 7-time Business of the Year award winner, and a host of other countless awards and accolades. Would you please welcome the man behind Hair by Ciccone, Frank Ciccone. Now, did I say that right, Frank?
You said it properly, mate.
Good.
Boys, how you going?
Yeah, very, very well. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Thank you, mate. Great to be here. And thank you for the coffees, mate. That's a hairdresser always needs their coffee first thing. So
thanks for coming.
It's great to be in a cool office as well. Love the setup of the studio.
Thank you.
Thanks,
nice.
Mate. Yeah, no, we're all up and firing. So we thought, how are we going to talk about hair and makeup at events in particular? But I think more importantly, your journey is an interesting one, given the fact that you're not up in lights everywhere in terms of massive salons in the middle of cities and huge marketing campaigns behind what you do. You're actually the complete opposite. So I thought we'd start with trying to keep it quite simple and just say, why hairdressing?
Okay. I actually chose hairdressing. Basically, loved my computers, loved computer programming, failed maths, year 7, year 8, year 9, dumb at maths. But for some reason, I knew about how to use computer language and basic language. So I actually used to help my mates. I used to have a Commodore Amiga, and I used to hack Commodore Amiga games. And basically loved all that, but just useless at school. And at that time, you couldn't, if you failed maths, you couldn't do anything to do with your computing. So I was lucky enough to get just a half-decent score in my year 12 to do data entry at Swinburne. Deferred for a year, never went back, worked in retail, loved retail, good old propaganda clothing and PB shoes and all that.
You got the gift of the gab though. Retail,
I actually loved it. Worst wage ever, but I actually enjoyed it. And I never thought about the money. And then met my wife, Helen, and she was studying hairdressing, and then she wanted to open up a salon, and I actually wanted to open up a computer store. This is in the early 90s when MS-DOS and Microsoft Windows just came out. Yeah. But she was adamant about hairdressing. I said, look, all right, we already had a plan. We knew we were going to get together. We knew we were going to get married and everything. And so the plan was open up the salon. I'll work in retail. and she'll start the salon. So basically, Helen ran Maya Hair and Beauty salons in the 90s, which was a big deal at that time.
Yeah.
And she was only like 21 at that time. And so she opened up a salon, and I was still working in retail for a few months. And then I ended up going on my lunch breaks, because the salon was up the road from North Lane Shopping Centre, and go and help her out and take days off and afternoons off to help her out. And I was actually her first ever apprentice. Well, Hair by Ciccone, first ever apprentice was me. So
She's still bossing you around.
She's still bossing around 27 years later. So basically, I had no intention of becoming a hairdresser whatsoever. I was going to run the business.
Yeah, right.
Then one day, don't ask me how, I took a phone call and I booked her a client, and then I did another booking. I think I triple booked her by mistake. And so I just picked up the scissors and the clippers and clipped the guys. This guy just wanted a clipper all over. Did it. I just did the clipper buzz, and I thought, you know what, let's do this. I actually went through, did my apprenticeship, and
Wow. I love that. I had no idea about that story. That's awesome.
It was hard. Look, in the 90s, this is like 96, it was hard to be, my missus was my boss. Being, Italian background, the wog mentality. I was sweeping hair after her. The ladies in the salon used to love it that there was a guy sweeping hair, so they used to make a mess on the floor. This is a big deal. They used to make a mess on the floor, and I used to actually sweep the hair, and my missus used to hate that they were doing that on purpose. I think it was something that maybe they just, So that's how it started. Then I just did my apprenticeship. So that's how.
But you're a worker. You would never bat an eyelid at doing.
No, I didn't care.
Sorts of things.
Yeah, I just did it. We got married in September 96. We bought the business October 96, remortgaged our house. We remortgaged more in percentage than what the house, we went over 60%.
Yeah, wow.
My bank manager said, just to let you know, if you lose your business, you lose your house. And it sounds cool now, but at that time, I was shitting myself.
Yeah.
I was just, we didn't sleep. We worked probably about 80 hours a week. On a Saturday night, if you guys would come to us, all our friends would come to us at 7, they would have drinks, we'll be doing their hair.
Yeah.
And then they would leave and we'd work till midnight just doing hair. So we were sharing pizzas. Hal and I, we would, if you had a function, we would come to for coffee and cake, not for dinner because we couldn't afford it. So we just did the hard yards. For about 4 or 5 years, we worked and saved and just worked for 5 years straight, and then we started getting staff on board. So that's how it started. That was 27 years ago. Actually, in 3 days' time, that's 27 years ago.
Wow. Well, congratulations on that. And I mean, look, I guess, your personalities attribute to this, and, you especially, you fill the room with energy as soon as you walk in. You're always so positive. And I guess going back to the early Frank days, was this what it was like at home?
Not at all.
Where did this come from?
No, that's Helen Ciccone, mate. She molded, she created the monster that I am. Because she's that person, and as you know, Shane, like you touched on before, she's like, as we said, when we opened up the salon, there was already 4 salons in our street. So I was always like looking into the other salons, like at night, peeking in. And she just said, just be a horse with blinkers or blinders and don't worry about the street. Let's just focus on ourselves. And I never stopped. I never looked at another salon ever again.
That's
since
ballsy and amazing. That it,
we did it. And so basically, she's got the energy. I was always, can't be bothered. I'll do it later, procrastinate. Now she turned me around in that. And the reason why I am what I am is because of her. And that's, now she's slowing down and wants to take it. So now it's like we're role reverse now. I'm the nutter still trying to find and do things. And, I always say this and I always touch this a lot, like, to hustle now, the word hustle now is a great word. Where a hustler years ago was like, oh, you're a hustler. Now, hustling now is the best word ever.
Yep. It's a positive.
It is a positive. Yeah. So that's, so I the buzz and all that you say, and you've worked with Helen before backstage, it's because of her.
And it's interesting, you talk about hustle, and you guys are a small business still. Like I alluded to it at the start. It's like you're not a massive juggernaut of a business that's got a huge marketing machine behind it. But you guys kept your head down, and even when you said you got multiple salons in the same street, how does that sit at a business level for a business guy like yourself who turns around and goes, okay, well, I want to be the best at what we do, but to do so we need to keep ourselves so focused and just really concentrate on what we do and do it really well. How did you guys go about that and not get distracted by all those outside influences?
You touched on the marketing budget. We had none. So if I started looking at what other businesses did, then I'll be delving into my budget and spending money trying to copy other people. So because we had no marketing budget
And no social media.
and no social media, so, that's another. I'll tell you a story about the social media side, how that was a sleeping giant as well. But so pre-social media, it was a local ads in the local paper,
Yeah.
3x3, the Northcote Leader or the Heidelberg Leader, 3x3 centimetre ad, $250 a month. That was it. I actually tried one better where the good old Melways. I don't know if you remember the Melways.
Of course,
yeah.
So I looked, there was a new suburb, which is McLeod West, which is called Springthorpe,
Yep.
opened up.
So for anyone who's not listening, Melways is like our old street. It's a street directory.
Yes, correct.
So,
Sorry, I forgot there's might have all the young
A
people
physical
listening.
Google
Yeah.
Maps.
Yeah. So on the top of the Melways, I looked at there was a new suburb getting built, and I saw it was 800 homes, and it was in our suburb at McLeod West.
Yes.
So I saw on the map, and it was map 29. And so I actually advertised on the top of map 29 because I knew that there's going to be 800 homes looking at this Melways, finding what is the closest shopping centre or whatever. So I had Hair by Ciccone on the top there.
Yeah, perfect.
So we ended up
Everyone
getting
needs a
there,
hairdresser.
and I ran that until Google. I reckon Google was probably doing their maps 2006s, 7s, maybe.
Oh, yeah, by then.
Yeah, so we
Kind
did
of,
it from 96 until 2004.
Yeah, wow.
So little
Figure.
things like
So,
that we did. But what I was saying before about, trying to be, like, we wanted to be that, like that South Yarra salon, that Port Melbourne salon, whatever. But we knew that we never had that marketing budget and we couldn't afford stuff. So we just did our own thing.
And then word of mouth, I guess, as
Word
well.
of mouth.
Yeah.
Look, we did win one award in we won a couple of awards, but a big major one for us was Fox FM had this award for Melbourne's best hairdresser. And what happened was it's not like, you just ring and like now you can, do votes, whatever. They actually sent a mystery shopper in. So it was a mystery caller and a mystery shopper.
Oh, wow.
And they came in and that's how you got judged. And,
Yeah.
and we ended up winning Melbourne's best hairdresser.
Yeah. And you didn't pick the mystery shopper? You had no idea?
No idea. No idea. Like, and then when we were told that, hey, we've just had a mystery shopper and a phone call mystery as well, I was stressing because they didn't tell us we won yet. They said, we just let you know that you're in the running, you could be winning this award maybe. Just be prepared. So then Fox FM came to the salon and did a live broadcast between 5 and 6. And
Wow.
when we won, and that was the best, that was massive. That put our business on the map.
They would have used Melways to find your location. Totally.
Yeah.
Touche, yeah. Yeah, so
power of
that's
media.
how it jumped with us. And that was, again, no marketing budget. That was free marketing. So,
Yep.
and that was still, again, pre-social media.
Yeah, well done.
So over the last 10 to 15 years, you've really flourished in the event scene, and you're spotted with just about every celebrity that visits Australia. How did you go from local hairdresser to be the go-to guy for renowned celebrities and do events?
So we did a couple of people here and there before social media, but then in 2010, I heard Slash was coming to Melbourne for the MTV Classic Channel launch.
Wow. Yep.
So I rang Sydney and MTV, and just a lady answered the phone, and I just said, "Hey, I'm here by Ciccone in McLeod, and there's a few of us. We like to offer our services." And I knew this was the game to play. No paid gig. It was just offer our services.
Yep.
Love to, because I knew Slash it was Slash and Friends, so there was a lot of Aussie artists that were going to be there as well. So even if we were going to do Slash, Amorossi was there. There was a few other people there, in excess. So then we get a call back a few days later. But just to touch back on that phone call, the lady who answered the phone was a lady who actually ran the whole thing, Hayley, who's one of our best friends now. She was coming from her lunch break to the front desk, and the receptionist was busting to go to the toilet. She ran to the toilet. Hayley answered the phone, and she wanted to know. She goes, "I put you through to my own office because you sounded so much full of shit. The way you were selling this to me, I want to hear what more you had to say." So she put me through to her own office.
Oh,
so
wow.
if she didn't,
Hadn't have answered that phone call.
the whole MTV gigs for the next few years never happened.
Wow. So in the moment of seconds, it made just
So little
right
things
timing.
like that. So it's a lot of chance, a lot of luck, and it's timing.
But and you identified obviously at the time that this was going to be a bit of a game changer in the context of
Yes.
exposure and marketing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Again, going back to the budgets,
Yeah.
this was my only way to get it out there. And social media wasn't that big at that time. So we did MTV. We looked after Slash. I actually did Slash's hair. And
Cool.
we
Is it real?
yeah, man, it's a lot of it as well. So he wears a lot of baseball hats back to front.
Yep.
So when he wears his other hat, because he's got ponytails, there's a lot of elastic ring looking Like there's a lot of dints in the hair, so
Yeah.
he can't wear his hat because it's just, so you got to style it. You got to get it going, juice it up, and so did that a couple of times with him. So we actually stayed in a hotel room right next door to his, and then Helen looked after Slash's missus at the time, Perla, and then we looked after the MTV gig, and so that was then a snowball effect. The ladies at MTV. And Helen's big on this, and you'll see this, and Seamus has seen as well, where we always looked after the events people as well as celebrities.
Yeah.
So if like Emma and Hayley, because you're so into it, these girls were the front of house, running around looking after these celebrities, but they were never dolled up. They were never, they were in just tracksuits in a hurry, but they had to dress up, but they never worried about themselves. So Helen always pinned down the events people to look after them as well and make them feel amazing.
Yeah.
So I think that's why we always got called back, because Helen made them feel as much as the celebrity as a celebrity.
Absolutely. Huge point of difference. And not that you do it for the accolades, but we know what it's like. Yeah, you run around, you go like headless chooks. It's always to the last second.
Yeah.
And you don't think about yourself. It's literally, I mean, how many times have you thrown a suit on?
thrown a suit on glue.
Exactly. Just
And
to
it
make
was
yourself
also
look
a
all
thank
right.
you. It was like, what, guys, like we've got a makeup artist floating around. Like
Totally.
just a little thank you to say thank you for getting us on board.
Yeah. Goes a long way, just those little differences.
So the whole that how it all started. So MTV got us the Geordie Shore gigs. So Emma Smith moved away, and she got us the Geordie Shore gigs. Hayley was looking after us with other stuff, and then. But the funny thing is, with the social media side of things, so we've been pre and post social media. When we did the ARIA Awards, so Emma Smith became producer of ARIA Awards in 2011. So we did the hair for the ARIA Awards at the Opera House, backstage at the Opera House.
Yeah,
like that was
that's
just a
so
big
cool.
deal. Yeah. And we flew a couple of staff members with us up as well. And that was at our own expense, not a paid gig. But again, the marketing point of view was brilliant. When I came back 2 weeks later, so we looked after Sia and Rebel Wilson and NXS and Dan Sultan, a whole bunch of people. I was posting, and we're on Facebook at the time. There was probably about 20 people, 20 followers we had. And I was posting. And then Sia's coming out, whatever, And then 2 weeks later, I had these two dads came in the salon, and one was sitting on the couch and the other guy was cutting his hair. And he said, Frank, he goes, man, last week, man, he goes, you were on our living room floor last week. I'm like, say that again. He goes, my two daughters were on the floor watching the arias and telling us what you were saying and who was about to come out on stage.
Through
Wow.
Facebook.
The biggest light bulb you've ever seen above your heads, that idea thing, that bang, that's when I knew it was, and social media was it. That was my yellow pages. That was my mailways. That was my new leader newspaper marketing for free. So I knew to tap into it there and then.
So interestingly, Semi answered this question, but going from doing hair for celebrities at an event, how did that translate to customers through your door in your little suburban?
They thought we were the rock stars. Our customers thought that we were famous because we were looking after famous people.
Because of the association.
Correct.
Right? Yeah.
And then let's say watching the ARIA Awards, then there'll be a group of people sitting down. Our client will say to their friends, that's my hairdresser's hairstyle.
Yep.
So they were boasting. So we were marketing ourselves. They were marketing, the client was marketing their hairstyle, saying, hey, my hairstyle is now worth something because the person who did my hair did that person's hair. So they were relating themselves to the celebrity.
Yep.
I was going to say, it's the whole cool by association factor, right?
100%.
Yep. And did you see an immediate increase in business as a result of that?
Yes. So what happened was people started coming in. Go forward a few years, I looked after Tim Cahill.
Yes.
Now, I had people come in from everywhere just to sit in the chair that Tim Cahill sat in.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
That's just true story. People were booking in when the Geordie Shore guys would come into the salon, because we looked after Geordie Shore, and these guys were amazing. And they used to stay at our house. They were just, party animals, but they were family guys. One of them, Gaz, actually taught my daughter how to swim when she was 3 years old at the little swimming pool. Like, he was just a nice guy, and the Geordie Shore guys would come in the salon and tweet, and there'll be people coming in thinking they were there and then.
Have you seen a shift in that from back then when it first started and people just doing you're cutting celebrities' hair and then you're coming into your salon and people are there and so forth, into what we now see as like the influencer world? And
Yes.
the fact that people are expecting to get paid to say, put a tweet on that they're sitting in your seat in your
100%.
Is that shifted the way you've had to go about it?
Yeah, so what we do now is, because we've earned our stripes, we get a lot of influencers message us every day saying, hey, we can grow your business bigger, we can do this, we can do that. We can afford to say no, but I feel sorry for the new businesses opening up today. where they'll get roped in by an influencer, and you're going to laugh. I call them, the ones who are full of it, I actually call them influencers because they just don't deliver. Like if you're going to do it, deliver. Like, and I've seen
Do you mean
celebrities.
it becomes more transactional?
Correct.
Even? Yeah, rather than purposeful. Yeah.
Correct. And if you're going to like be an influencer and, support a business and say, hey, I'm going to grow your business, just do those posts and do those stories and do the right thing by the business owner. I just feel sorry for new businesses opening because they've got to do with the Google reviews. They've got to do with the Facebook keyboard warriors, which I can't stand. So it's different now to what it was. People would tweet then or do something because they just love being there. I know for a fact, like when what's his name? Gaz from Geordie Shore, he was getting paid $5,000 a Instagram post. And he'll just post about me because I just did his haircut. Yeah. And we were mates, Yep. And now, the new generation of people now wouldn't do that.
And so with all these events and, I guess the profile that you've driven, was this part of the dream when you were sweeping the floors and doing your apprenticeship? And by that I mean, was it ever talked about?
Yeah, no, not at that time. That was a light bulb idea later. We wanted to involve the staff because every time it was Helen and I used to get the call to go and do hair for a fashion show. So we did a lot of fashion shows in the 2000s where no one knew. We did L'Oreal and all this stuff. One big thing happened was when you did, for example, L'Oreal, a fashion show, L'Oreal will ring you and say, hey, how would you like to be part of the L'Oreal team?
Yeah.
L'Oreal wouldn't be paying all this money to be a sponsor, but they'll supply 50 grand worth of hair services at 7 fashion shows. But they'll round up all these local hairdressers who are excited to do a fashion show and wear L'Oreal T-shirts.
Totally.
So we realised that when with Smash It, we bought a product out called Smash It, and I was using a brand called Rockstar, an amazing brand.
I remember that. Once upon a time, before this.
Great brand. Yeah. And they rounded us up to do a fashion show, and it was great. And we had the branding. But then we realised that their sponsor name was everywhere, and they had a table of 10 given to them for a fashion show, and we did the hair. Then we went home, and it was like they did nothing besides supply some product, but we did all the services. So that's when another idea happened for me, is where I didn't want to work under any umbrella. I wanted to work under a Hair by Ciccone umbrella. So then instead of us working for L'Oreal or for Goldwell or whatever, we did our own thing and worked under Hair by Ciccone. So then I started sending out emails as Hair by Ciccone, and we can provide you 2-3 grand worth of service product package, and then in return, whatever they'll ask what you want in return.
And Frank, did that mean because you had your light bulb moment around social media, and so by I guess working on these shows under your own banner meant that you could then create your own asset under under Hair by Ciccone, rather than another brand.
Yeah,
is that right?
In a nutshell, that is in a nutshell. So, years ago, sweeping their hair and being the apprentice, whatever, I just looked at paying off the bills, and then once we got to that point, we bought a building. It was like, okay, now we've got a mortgage. Okay, how do I get more bums on seats without spending all this money in advertising? Then we started, the Fox FM thing happened. Then with the local business awards was big for us as well. So I was only focusing for Banyule, trying to get bums on seats from people in the Banyule area. So we entered the Banyule Business Awards, where we'll compete against other hair and beauty salons. It's a couple of hundred, like 200 you compete against, and we won a few of those. Then we got inducted in the Hall of Fame as an overall business because we beat all these other businesses because we won it 4 years in a row. And then the Hall of Fame was the best business of all businesses, from manufacturing to retail to doctors to restaurants.
It just constantly grows the profile then,
Correct.
Right? And then again, events is just that little bit of zhuzh and colour on the end of it.
Yeah, 100%.
So interesting, before we get into more of the event stuff, why do you think you won those awards? Because people enter, and we see this all the time, particularly in this industry, there's so many awards that you can apply for and submit to, 100%. And we've all been there, and you pay to go in and you do your thing. And you get a little bit of feedback back and you go, I don't know what, or did I do well? Did I not do well? And so why do you think you guys were so successful when you've got that many competitors out there? Why Hair by Ciccone?
It was a customer service. We were big in customer service. And going back to about Helen, being bubbly, it wasn't just her. She made sure the whole salon was like that. So with us is, if there's ever an issue in the salon with a client in any way or form, Helen will teach us to say, sure, not a problem. Not but, or your red and my red are two different reds.
Totally.
So she made sure the color chart was there and we both chose the same red. So she minimized all the risks of making any mistake or the risks of bad customer service before it even started.
Yep.
So important.
Yeah. So
Totally.
so it was all about customer service. So I know for a fact our salon in customer service above any other salon that I know. We give the best service and we still do it now. And we feel sick if we see someone walk out and we're not sure, even though they probably love it, the hair, we actually feel sick. Like we do a follow-up phone call 3 days later, we still think that they weren't happy, and which it kills us. That kills us more. It's the service look, we are confident in saying that we give good services, but customer service as well.
Comes down to the old situation, communication, services,
100%. Sure does.
personal connection.
I guess
Arias, Logies, Brownlow, and countless corporate events. We talked about whether this was part of the dream or not, but the work you take these days and how you've seen that unfold, particularly in those events, can you give us a bit of an insight into, you spoke about the Arias before, but how does that then flow into the other bigger ones and see yourself sort of as the go-to people for fashion festivals and these major events?
I think, and word of mouth in the event industry, because we did well with the Arias, we got called back again and again. MTV, any MTV gig that happened, because we did right by the person at that time, they all leave notes and they all leave people. Someone might be 30 in charge in 4 or 5 years down the track would be in charge of that department. We'll go, hang on a second, the Ciccones did a great job. They looked after me as well. I'll get them back.
Yep.
So it's a snowball effect. So basically with, the Arias, we did the Arias a few times and you build up a network of connections through that. Logies, same thing. We were getting a lot of managers of artists we also looked after as well. So if we did a celebrity haircut, we said as a manager, do you need a haircut as well? Yeah, sure. So managers talk to each other.
Yeah.
And so manager will be like, hey, do you know a barber or a hairdresser in Melbourne that can, that we trust?
Yeah.
And the big thing's
trust.
about trust. And vouching for each other. So they wouldn't refer someone unless they knew, because they knew that they're going to be in their hotel room, in their personal space, and they're not going to be like fanning, even though I take my usual selfie at the end of the day, that's stock standard now with me, but I will never do that unless everything's done properly.
Have you got to the stage now where you talk about, events and organisations and promoters hiring your services, but are there individuals now that come to you for those major events, or you still find it's the organisation?
No, so what happens now is, perfect example, and I think like the VRC have got their own hairdressers they always love using. But Grand Prix, the same thing, the tennis, the same thing. They've always got the same people. It's the same, it's like, okay, there are more hairdressers than the same people.
Totally.
I actually get calls from, for example, the Grand Prix. I got messages from the Grand Prix drivers directly from them to me, because they've heard that I've looked after a few people years ago.
Yep.
They all talk.
Yep.
So he would have messaged someone. So I did Nico
Hulkenberg,
yes.
great set of hair.
He would have messaged someone or spoken to, hey, need a haircut. Yep, this guy here looks after so-and-so. So it's them talking to each other. So I get a lot of direct messages. So we don't get hired by the big associations like Grand Prix and all that. We used to do it years ago with them.
Yep.
We get calls
It's more the
direct, on
individuals.
message direct.
And what you are is very responsive. You are extremely responsive.
Yes.
And that helps. Yeah.
When no one replies, it's like, just reply, and I've sent out messages in my time to people, to celebrities and got nothing, they've read it. You can tell they've read it. They're like,
And do you proactively do any of that still in terms of, okay, there's a major event coming to town like the Formula One Grand Prix. Do you go, okay, I'll send out a bunch of messages just in see?
Yes, I do, because some have forgotten about me.
Yep.
Some are new. So there's a couple of, new drivers. There's always new people. So in our industry, in events, in hairdressing, in nightclubs, whatever, the tall poppy syndrome, unfortunately, sticks with a lot of us, where it's a revolving door. So there's always these new people coming through that we need to latch onto, because that's a new person that we need to bounce off.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately, the old drivers, the old people who aren't around anymore, you don't associate, which, like, for example, Carlton Football Club, we do a lot of stuff with. I'm still in touch with a lot of players that I used to sponsor 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I still talk to them. Now they've got kids and, where unfortunately a lot of people will drop them on their head once they're not a big player anymore. And that happens a lot as well. So, but that's normal. That's what people do. That is, there are celebrities out there who are famous as, and then, that aren't famous anymore, can't even get a free drink anymore, where they used to get booths and entourage. Now they get nothing. So it's like, what, if they've been good to you and promoted you, even though you've looked after them, if they come back. I've got players that come in and still get free haircuts that used to play for Carlton 10 years ago. And I still give them free haircuts as a thank you for what they did for me on socials.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think that takes customer service to a whole different level. I mean, that's personal service.
It is.
It's not customer service. This is where we're getting down to, it's a one-on-one transaction. It's between two human beings. It's not a business against a business or, hey, very stressful environment back of house generally at events and can be.
Organised chaos.
Yeah, organised chaos.
Controlled chaos.
Controlled, sorry. Yeah.
Yourself and Helen who go in and do these events and the rest of your team, particularly you and Helen though, is this something you talk about behind closed doors and how you plan for this, or is it just part of your natural makeup? How do you guys go about
dealing with the fuckery that comes with it?
Oh, mate, shitloads of it. Yeah. So once the email comes, let's say Shane sends an email, hey, I've got an event on a few weeks' time. First thing we do is check availability. We try, when it comes on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it's hard to leave the salon because we're busy. So we don't want to, we lose money if we walk away from that. So when it does happen on those days, it's normally just Helen and I will go. When it falls on a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, whatever, we can bring some staff with us. And we want to involve the staff,
absolutely,
the team with us as well to do all that. Once we agree and say, yep, then Helen doesn't, up until the day she does their hair, she doesn't want to know about it. Then I'll speak to Shane and say, all right, what do you need from me? What time do you need? Send me the spreadsheets, Excel, whatever, which I still don't even know how to use Excel. I show my daughter, she puts it all together. And then when we then look at what I will do is if Shane says, hey, you've got these 4 celebrities on the day, I would look at their hair and take screenshots and photos of their current hair and also of their hair when they're on stage. Send that to Helen, and she's got it on file. She'll look at, easy, no problem. Yep, done. And then once I get the spreadsheet for the timings, if they also need makeup, then I would actually then organise a makeup artist as well. On the day when we get as soon as we know the start time, let's say we're going to start doing hair at 4, we'll get there at 3 and set up.
Yep, and away you go.
Set up, Then when the artists come in, we first check to see on the spreadsheet when the artist is doing rehearsals, so we make sure that we don't lose them. Yeah. We work around then we work around the events people. So then now we work for Blue Events.
Yep, perfect.
If that makes sense. So then they tell us what, because sometimes things change. Rehearsals don't go right. They rock up late, and we move people around.
Yep.
And then the good thing about that is that we always pass the buck. If someone says, "Oh, but I'm scheduled now," and they're like, "Yeah, no, I just can't speak to
speak to Buzz.
Speak to Buzz.
But you adapt, and we had Phil on last week. He said the same thing. As a performer, you just adapt. You just make it work. Yes, you got a schedule in front of you, but shit happens. All right,
and their schedule is always never the same. But and then the thing is also when we're doing the hair, it is commotion out the back, and it's controlled chaos where and then some celebrities say, "Hey, this is how I want my hair." Now, if we were doing a fashion show, there's 2 things backstage. A fashion show is the designer, the clothes designer.
Correct.
She wants the hairstyle for that.
Correct.
But then you've got the jewelry company saying, "Hey, you're wearing $100,000 earrings. I want my hair. I want the hair up."
Right.
So the designer wants the hair down. Yep. The jewelry designer wants the hair up.
Which is why those hair and makeup trials are so important to them.
So photos back and forth. So Ramsey, styled by Ramsey for Brownlow. He's a stylist, but the designer wanted this type of hair and whatever. So, he'll say, okay, this is what's going on.
Such an important part. I mean, we talk about teamwork and these all sound like, isolated roles and responsibilities, but it has to be so connected all the way from the top down.
And trust and lean on. I don't know these little intricacies around jewelry and things like that, but you do, so you can help me.
You go back to Melbourne Fashion Show, which we've all worked on, Melbourne Fashion Festival, I should say, and it is. You see it from the outside, and you go, "Oh yeah, it's catwalking. It's people walking up and down. Yeah, they've had their hair done, they've had their makeup done, and they're wearing whatever outfits that they've been told to wear." The intricate detail in the planning of those shows is unbelievable. So, and the fact that everybody has to agree on it, and
100%.
You talk about spreadsheets and files and photos, and if you go backstage at a fashion show, for anyone who listens who hasn't seen the backstage of a fashion show, I would highly encourage you to do it one time in your professional event life, because the detail detail that is involved in those, and the planning that goes into it, and the metronome clockwork
It's an
that goes
eye-opener, isn't
is
it? Yeah.
unbelievably detailed, and more than I ever thought it probably was from from someone who hadn't experienced it before to then obviously been innately involved in it.
So we always make it a thing where we might have some amazing makeup artists who are mobile or doing their own thing, own their own businesses, but they know Helen's in charge.
Yep.
And that's it.
Yep.
And
Chain
if
of
anyone
command, communication.
questions, she'll actually say, you know what, go and have a breather.
Yep.
Just sit for 5 minutes. Like it's like she's got a sinned
Yep.
in. She's got a sinned in. And she'll say, go sit for 5 minutes, go get a coffee because you're flustered and you're trying to just, this is what we're doing. Follow me. And you just, because then if you start changing things, because Shane might be telling Helen or myself,
That
this
impacts
is
all the way through.
this is what we want. And then we put it, it's like Chinese whispers, but then the last person hasn't heard it properly.
Correct.
So
And it throws
that's
the
what we
whole thing
do
out.
briefs and we sit down and have, like if we were to bring the salon with us, we'd have meetings about it.
And that sense of mind to be able to, or the presence of mind in that situation while things are running at full speed, to be able to adapt on the fly, to be able to go, you know what, you do need 5 minutes out, otherwise this is going to have an impact down the line here, and just the way it flows itself through is so integral
100%.
from director, producer, stylist, assistant stylist, hair, makeup, jewelry,
exhausting,
and
isn't it?
on and on and on and on it goes. So anyway, we could probably talk about that for a long time. But have you got any crazy stories with the sort of hair and makeup situation, an event that didn't go to plan? You can leave names out of it. You don't have to tell us.
Yeah. Let me just try to think. Okay. Well, we looked after Miss World Australia for about 5 years. As a Dale used to
That's
run
right,
it.
yep.
Dale, and Dale's a crazy character, Melbourne nightlife king.
Yep.
You would never think that this guy would run a pageant, but he was all about the charities. And he was big about raising money. So we were like big on that. And so Miss World Australia was all about that. And so he rings us, and we found ourselves being part of it. He says he was in a meeting because he just took over the license, and he rang me and he goes, Frankie, he goes, do you guys do a lot of fashion shows and whatever? I said, yeah, man. Like what a stupid question. Like, and he goes, congratulations, you're the official hairdresser and sponsor of Miss World Australia. So that's how we became that. And so backstage Miss World Australia, these girls, a lot of them are models, and some of them aren't models. So they're going to be walking the catwalk, and we've got a hairstyle that we've got to do because they've all got to have the same, because they have to look the same dress, same hairstyle if they can, because that's how they get judged, because you can't have mine glammed up this way because then they might stand out too much. So they have to be all the same. And some of these girls will just go, nah, I'm like this, I want that. And then, having a go at the staff backstage and whatever. And the girls are like, they might, especially the girls at our salon, they're fiery as well. They just wanted to kill them, And then Helen will come and say, "Listen, just to let you know, we report back to the judges how you guys compose yourself." That wasn't true.
No,
that wasn't true.
Enough to pull them in the line.
They shit themselves, and she would then start saying that at the start of the events to these girls, and we never had a problem since. So she would actually say to them, "Hey, just let you know."
Little tactic.
Yeah, and it
Perfect.
worked. And they were just shitting bricks. Celebrity-wise, conversations, a lot of, there's always been between manager
Actually,
and...
you'd know a lot, wouldn't you? You'd have a lot stored
yeah.
away.
Yeah.
there.
Stuff.
That's a whole new world, mate. I wouldn't get hired ever again if I actually said all that stuff, mate.
True.
But a lot of managers and more the entourage were perfect example. We looked after one lady, a famous American TV personality, and she loved her hair. And this is like Twitter era, not even Instagram was out at that time. And she was tweeting, mate. She had about 5 million followers, and she was tweeting, "Frank and Helen, this, I love my hair, blah blah blah." Ciccone Cosmetics, and she did about 4 tweets in the last hour. We sold so much lipstick in that night because of her. It was brilliant. But then a friend comes in, her best friend. And she loved her hair. She was hugging Helen. She goes, "Oh my God, hair, that American buff, way." She loved it. Then her friend walked in and said, "Oh, are you sure you like that?" Then she had doubts.
Right.
So Helen had to, Helen that we know, had to say, "No, it's all good. It's okay." And I was looking at her friend because we spent 3 hours on this girl.
And she was loving it.
Once you put hairspray in a hairstyle, and once you start, you can't redo it. You got to watch them start again.
Yeah.
There was no way that was going to change. So she almost said, "Oh yeah, no, let's change it." And I looked at this girl, I'm like, "Please just walk out of this room."
Yeah.
You're kidding me. And then she loved it and we were fine. But just little things like that. It's like,
Good old entourage and managers impacting again.
Hotel rooms, a true story hotel room. It was a cool one, a surreal one where we looked after Slash. In the hotel room, there was Wolf Mother. So Andrew,
So a lot of hair in this room.
There's a lot of hair
did
going,
his hair.
yeah.
He had these black latex pants he had to put on,
Yep.
and he
Of
couldn't
course
put them on.
Andrew Stockdale, what a
actually,
legend.
he was laying in the bed in his jocks. I had to put his pants on.
no.
Like I started to pick him up and do all that. That was pretty cool. But in the hotel room there was Kirk Pengili, Wolf Mother. There was Slash was in the corner there, like in this room, and we're talking about the Simpsons and like how the Simpsons, how it first started, and Andrew Stockdale couldn't remember how it actually first. So we're just talking, and it was like I jumped out of myself looking into this room, thinking, "Is this actually happening?"
Yeah.
There was no cameras. There was no, So that was pretty cool. Soccer players, I've looked after a lot of big soccer players, and that for me because I love soccer, freaking out. Like I looked after the Juventus soccer team when they came. Buffon and Pirlo and all these big players, and Paulo Dybala, which is an Argentinian World Cup player. That to me was like the biggest surreal thing of all time.
And does that keep you buzzing now?
Because that's my personal
drive.
childhood thing, like all that stuff. So that was massive for me. Yeah, like there's a lot of stories backstage, like a lot of the managers and artists talking to each other and their conversations, and there's a lot of respect between managers and artists. There's not many that I've seen where the managers drilling this artist, you got to do this. Right. There's not a lot of that. What we see on TV,
you wouldn't get away.
The managers are all right. Like and being with Michael Stangel, as looking after a few artists, I learned a lot years ago to learn how to look after musicians myself, and
it's important. I mean, effectively the manager's working for the artist. I've always said to the artist, if you don't like your manager, why on earth are you employing him? Because they're working for you. I mean, you've got to have, again, they've got to be an extension of who you are to be out there promoting you.
And on the flip side of that, I have got stories with artists where a manager finds you a gig. Stock standard's 20% managers get. Now, if a manager finds you a gig that you would never have done, and it's $100,000 gig, and you've got to give the manager 20 grand, don't bitch and moan about it.
No.
He found you 80 grand that you would never have found.
Yep.
So I'm big on that. I tried to reason with artists about that as well. And I was like, on the manager's side point of view, saying, listen, if they're going to get you a watch that's worth 30 grand for free, which that was my job, I was always doing that, and you need to do a couple of social media posts, you make sure you do it.
Do the post, yeah.
I've actually, true story, there was artists that I got them some watches and stuff, and they weren't going to do anything about it, and I actually had the ticket to an event where I almost ripped up the ticket in front of them, saying, if you don't do it by 10 o'clock tonight, you're not going to this event.
Yeah.
I'm not getting paid. I was working on behalf. I was getting
That's the deal.
I was working for Michael Stangel. So for me getting them product, I wasn't making any money. So me getting them watches and cars and whatever, if I'll take the car away and bring it back to the car yard if they didn't do it. That's what I would do. I wouldn't care.
Got to hold them accountable.
Have to.
I'm going to shift this a little bit. Yep. So your presence in the event space has rubbed off on your daughters. So with Bella, she performs on stage. Was that a natural development? And I guess as a family man, what's important to you in supporting your children in their careers?
As long as they're happy, first and foremost. Bella is the biggest computer nerd of all time. So I'm wrapped. I got it because she's smart and she passed every maths. She's actually studying artificial intelligence and robotics engineering. So
the stuff you didn't do way back.
And she's basically, she loves her music. And the good thing about it is because it's not her core business, there's no pressure on her.
Yeah.
And this is why you can see it when she performs that she's having fun. And I always say to her, have fun. The day you're not having fun doing something, walk away.
Yep.
If you're trying to make the money, but not enjoying doing it, just don't do it. Find something else. If you enjoy wherever you're working, if you enjoy it, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah,
that's
the old cliche, isn't it?
Yeah, the old cliche. True. So she performs, and she actually out of left field, she goes on stage and does things and released 2 songs, and this is a surreal thing. Doing hair backstage at the Aries all those years. Last year, she actually got invited to walk on the red carpet as an artist.
Oh, nice.
So I was doing her hair in the hotel room.
That's cool.
So that was like a whole, surreal moment. So, and we're going again this year. She got invited again this year to go.
That's so awesome. Yeah.
She had these 2 songs. One song we synced to this TV show that was an online TV show pre-Netflix, and it was like a Channel 9 thing. And then it got synced on Amazon Prime in America. And Ari has picked it up on it, and they saw it, and then whatever, and then she got an
Away it goes.
invitation. Yeah, it's just a snowball.
Snowballs.
So, yeah, so
Again.
she loves it, but my dream is because we just purchased an office, and we're going to have our products running and whatever. My other daughter Mia is big with graphic design and logos, but she also put her hand up. She said she's year 11 now. She wants to go to uni, but while she's at uni, she wants to do a hairdressing course. So that was that threw a spanner in the works.
Yeah. You didn't see that coming?
No, not at all. We've never said to the kids, become a hairdresser. Whatever you want to do, you want to do. But now she wants to be like, by the time she's 21, she'll do like a slow part-time apprenticeship.
Yep.
She'll be a qualified hairdresser. So if she decides she wants to do graphic design, or digital design.
So as a father then, and with your wife, do you turn around and go, oh, here's the future of the business? Like all of a sudden you've got to rethink.
Like she actually, she ruled us because
you had an exit plan and now you haven't got one?
There you go. We had a slow exit plan and, just whatever. Now she's in the system and we still don't know until 5 years' time.
Of course, things might change.
Well, now that she's in the system, well, let's keep this alive and see how far we can go with her being involved. And it's put a bit of a firecracker up our ass now. So we want to...
Sure. She's a ripper too, man.
Yeah, so,
like
good. The kids, and you want, like, with this office, Bella does all our website stuff.
Right.
Yeah, great.
I do all the social media, but anything we have to put, because we sell product online, she puts all the posts up and all that. And now we've got Mia in the system where she can do some logo design for me, and she already done a few. So we need an office.
That's great.
There's a couple next to us here.
Yeah. Welcome into Blue. I think you've sold those offices about 10 times last week. Everybody comes through. So,
roster.
All good. As a small business owner, what are some key priorities and principles you stand by that you believe are important to all small business?
And no particular order, I would say, first and foremost, just keep an eye on your own health and well-being, and the stress levels. You've got to maintain the stress levels, which when it's financial stress levels, they're hard to maintain. Business point of view, the customer service, the product itself, whatever service you give, you've got to make sure you give the best service possible. Then customer service as well. So they're in hand. Then the team, you guys got to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Their well-being of the team at work, make sure everyone's okay. Have their back, show that you've got their back. So if there is a client complaint, don't go, oh yeah, you're right. The staff member was wrong. No, just like make sure first that and consult with the teams and say, hey, what happened, and then back them up if the customer's wrong. It's hard to say that when you're a new business, but down the track when you've got a business where you can afford to lose a client because they're actually not nice to your team, you got to back your team up.
Yeah.
That's the well-being side of things. And then the financial side of things, business point of view, man, you've got plans, you've got targets, you've got, at the end of the day, as long as your targets are paying the bills, paying the wages and paying yourself.
And feasible, right?
Feasible.
There's that word.
Yeah, feasible targets.
Feasible targets, yeah. So basically they're in a nutshell, the first and foremost. And then after that, it's, you've got your branches, branch out to your marketing, your social media. Don't burn bridges. Whoever you work with, don't make out like that's going to be the last time you're going to work with that person. Do the right thing where you know that you can be called back again and again. And then also always be careful of the snakes out there in business who people try and take you for a ride. We've been taken for a ride many times, but you learn.
Yep.
You go, I won't do that again. I won't do that again. I won't do that again. Then you do it again probably 3 more times.
And that's all part of it, isn't it? You've got to have those failures along the way to learn those mistakes and work it out, and that's okay.
Exactly. And as I said, all the industries cross over, especially the events industry. Everyone knows each other, and you just got to do right by people, and that's it.
So speaking of events, you've sort of shifted a little bit and recently opened Bar Ciccone.
Oh my God!
In the outer suburbs.
Look at the smile on his face, though.
I tell you what, I reckon I'm going to end up with a headache because I've noticed you've got limoncello on the menu, which is speaking my language. But why venture down this route, and why a suburban bar with an event space, and rather than going in the city? And how did all this come about? You've gone from hairdressing to bars.
COVID. What happened was in March when the COVID cases were about to start. I remember I was watching the Italian soccer one night, and they actually cancelled the Italian soccer, the whole league for the season.
Well, you've been devastated.
Now in Italy, there's Jesus, and then there's Italian soccer. Okay, so when they closed that, I knew there was something wrong. So I said to Helen, can we afford to be closed? She's like, what do you mean? This is before government closure.
Yeah.
Speaking of hustle, though, as a little aside, you were selling hand sanitizer.
That's what it was. So what happened was the next day we're actually at Rosebud. We've got a little house in Rosebud, so we're out having breakfast, and A mate of mine's a hair supplier, and then another mate is a manufacturer. So when I said, look, they closed Italian soccer down, this is big, something's going to happen here in Australia, and then I've got a feeling we're going to be closed for a while, then my hairdressing mate, supplier goes, shit, he goes, if hairdresser's closed, I'm stuffed. Then his mate, who's a manufacturer, goes, well, if suppliers are closed, I'm stuffed. Then he just said that day, it's funny, I actually got a call, this is for the hand sanitizer, I got a call, someone was asking for my alcohol, the propyl alcohol, because he's got them in gallons. They wanted to buy it off with some company in Perth. And then it was like, that morning is when we realised we were going to make hand sanitizer, the three of us, and we made hand sanitizer.
I bought some. There was a
massive queue. Yeah, there's a massive queue.
Yeah.
We sold a lot. But what happened was, across the road from the salon was a kindergarten. This kinder had about 4 or 5 cases of COVID.
Yes.
Now, at that time, if a business copped COVID, it was like you were a leper. I knew butcher shops closed down in Chadstone.
Red tape brought up the door.
That was 8 weeks before the government closure.
Right.
So we closed our doors before the government closed our doors. So we were closed 6 weeks longer than any other business in Australia. We closed because all those people that came to went to the kinder, we actually did all their hair 2 weeks earlier. So we dodged the bullet. So the hand sanitizer paid for the staff wages for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That's how we kept the salon afloat. Then the government closure happened, and we were closed for 300 and something days, all up in 2 years.
Yeah.
But so then what happened was when we were closed, I actually got a call, pretty cool, from Banyul Council. They reached out to me one night. They were having a meeting on a Thursday night, and I got a call at 7:30, and they said, look, Frank, you're the biggest salon in the area. You've got a double-story building. You've done so much for the community. You're closed. What can we do to keep you open? I said, well, if you change the laws, I know. Do something. She goes, have you got a coffee machine? I said, I do, but I'm not going to run a cafe. There's already 4 cafes in the street. I will not do that to the boys in the street. Then I said to her, hold on one sec. So I put her on loudspeaker. I rang the cafe owners. I said, look, what time do you guys all close during the week? And they all close at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
So she was on loudspeaker. I get back. She goes, I know we can ask. I go, can I open after 4 o'clock? She gave me a cafe license the next day. They all approved the cafe license next day. So I could do cakes and coffees.
That's right.
But no cooking, no preparing. Just I had a class 3 cafe license. So we built a little bar where my barber's area is upstairs. We had a little kitchenette. We actually built a little cafe bar there. So we ran Cafe Ciccone for about 9 weeks.
Yep.
While that was happening, I was having a scotch. I'm like, do you know what? I'm going to apply for a liquor license while I'm at it.
Yep,
and just could do a couple of little drinks here and whatever. So
particularly at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Correct.
Yep.
So that's how the bar Ciccone. So it was Cafe Ciccone first, and then as the bar license came through, we then ran Bar Ciccone for 2 years while the salon was operating on and off during COVID on Saturday nights only. So when the salon closed at 3, we had a bar operating at night, still using the hairdressing chairs, couches, but a bar upstairs, a little bar.
Yep.
And it was great. And it had some live music. We did a pop-up stage above the basin area.
That's right. Used to have Tim come
Tim
and play.
and Michael Stangel and Taylor Henderson.
That's right.
Yeah. So then we ran that for 2 years, then got the proper license, and that's when we moved Hair by Ciccone out of the building because we couldn't grow the bar without the salon being there. And so we moved the salon out just over the train tracks, and then we built the bar downstairs as well. So we had 2 bars going in the same building. Fantastic.
And do you love it?
Love it.
Yep.
When I was there a lot, it was busy. A lot of people wanted to have, I didn't realise this. Helen was like, everyone wanted to have a conversation with me. And she goes, you're like that when you go to a restaurant and you want to speak to the owner and sit with the chef and have a conversation. I didn't understand that. Because I used to come home going, bloody hell, everyone wants to sit down and have a drink with them. I'm like, so then, so the bar thing happened.
Customer service, that comes back to, and personal service, yeah.
And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. But then
Were you doing both? Like
yes,
in terms of cutting hair during the day and then trying to run a bar overnight time?
The bar was open Thursday night. So I had a license from Wednesday to Sunday, but I'd never opened Wednesdays. The bar was open Thursday nights. I didn't go there. But then Friday nights I'd work at the salon until 6 and then go to the bar and work till midnight. Then back it up again on Saturday night.
Yeah.
It was hard. Then last year, as you know, had a heart attack last year, January last year. Best thing that ever happened. Honestly, I look at life so differently now. 0 fucks given, basically. I just not.
Every day's
I
a
don't
blessing.
care about anyone. Just that if the coffee is cold, who cares?
Yeah.
If I'm stuck in traffic, I don't care. Someone's not happy with the haircut, which I know was a good haircut, but they're not happy, it's okay. Just either give them a refund or
Yep.
help them out next set, whatever.
I wasn't sure if you were going to bring that up, and now that you have, I want to congratulate you also on you lost a lot of weight.
Yes,
since that
I was
happened as
107
well.
kilos at that time, so now I'm 91.
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, so basically I just changed my eating habits because I knew that, so it was a scary thing. I was not that far. I was probably about 20 minutes away from dying, but I was told later. And all was I was thinking about the kids when it all happened.
Totally.
It's like, fuck, really? Like one's still in year 10, one just finishing starting uni. Yeah, when they're 30, I don't give a shit. They're settled, but not when they're in their teens.
It's your worst nightmare as a father.
That's
as
what
a
it was
parent.
as a father. Yeah, it was
Yep.
about the kids. So anyway, so once all that happened, I ended up winning International Barber of the Year award that happened during COVID in England, which I was devastated because I would have been
Couldn't
flown
go.
up. I would have been flown up, flights combination, go and see Big Ben and go watch a soccer match.
Yeah. It's
and
not
accept
the
award.
same through a TV screen. Or
It was a
your
live. It was a live feed. I was watching it, So I won this award, and then Rex from and Linda from Mocha Barber reached out to me and said, "Hey, we just came across this. Congratulations. This is a big deal. Can we run with it?" Because when it happened, no one really spoke about it. No, I had no press, nothing. It was a big deal. Like it was the first ever International Barber of the Year award won by an Aussie, and it was like no one really spoke about it. I'm like, all right, so. They reached out and did a 2-page spread in their magazine, Mocha Barber, Barbershop magazine. And then from that, Herald Sun picked it up, The Age picked it up, other magazines picked it up, and then the hair industry saw it. So then I started finding myself getting into hair industry, going to these events again, which I never did for like 20 plus years. And so that snowball effect on the hairdressing side. So because of that, then I became ambassador for a clipper brand, and Heinegger Clippers and Excellent Edges and Scissors. They now are my suppliers and stuff. And basically the bar side of things, also post heart attack, I was slowing down a bit. Not that I was going to get rid of it, but then we sold our building that we bought and just settled like basically last week. So then people thought I was selling the bar as well. So I've had a couple of people interested in buying the bar off me. So it's just a whole turnaround. Like, love the bar, but if someone comes in and takes over the bar, I'll be their number one bloody patron.
But you love the area as well. That's the
McLeod.
thing.
I love
You're
McLeod.
very passionate about that.
And I want the bar to be, so I want someone to take over the bar. I've had people wanting to take it over as a cafe, Indian restaurant. I've actually knocked all that back.
You want to stay as a bar.
I want to, if I can, look at them that day. They do what they want. I can't dictate what. But for me, it's my local.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm hoping that becomes a bar so I can go there on a Friday. Because
Absolutely.
unfortunately, when I was running the bar and all my mates will come there, I'd have a drink, but then I'll be washing dishes and doing things and running the bar.
You just
not
want to
sitting
go
down.
and there's a punter now and
Correct.
sit down and have all those conversations that everyone wants to have with you. And
100%.
Look, I know the area well, and it certainly needs it. So,
It was
all kudos
McLeod's
to it.
first wine bar.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So a great little spot and great little community. And we love to finish these conversations, Frank, with what we call Buzz's rapid fire questions.
Let's go.
You're sitting in the hot seat now, so I'm going to hand over to
Ready?
the big man, and
Tell me,
he's
my friend.
chomping at the bit. So
This is going to be hard for
go
you.
for it.
Short answers, Frank.
Yeah.
short.
All right. Number one. Who's got the best head of hair in Australia, excluding yourself?
Best head of hair. Wow. Well, I must admit, Taylor Henderson had a really cool 80s, hairstyle. So he had a nice, like, little hairstyle to look after.
Nice. What celebrity have you not worked with who's still on the bucket list?
Well, Paul McCartney would have been brilliant for me. And
yes.
I did reach out to his team
Yep.
to say, hey, if he needs a bit of a tidy up, he's the one.
Oh, what a bugger. He's 81. You
I
might
know.
be pushing shit uphill there. Do you keep your backstage passes somewhere? Because you could create a little mini museum.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
You got every one of them?
That is
Yes.
awesome.
They've got them put aside. My daughters are big on that, so they keep everything, all the arias and all the backstage
That's
stuff.
a project in itself.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, cool. Best piece of advice for anyone wanting to work in the hair, makeup for events industry?
Listen to the events coordinator. They're in charge. They're your boss, first and foremost. And if you can't do the job, don't agree to it because that could backfire. So if you can't do it, don't do it.
And that could parlay into this next question. So what's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given?
Don't burn bridges, first and foremost. And I had a guy who owned the IGA up the road, this Greek guy, George, and basically he said, don't stress over the bills when they arrive. Just make sure you pay them on time. So don't look at a bill. If it's a 28-day bill or a 7-day invoice, whatever, don't freak over it there and then. And just follow the order of paying things off, which that's Helen's department, not mine anyway. But
Yeah. Now, I had to snake a footy one in here.
Yeah.
As a fellow Blues supporter, Carlton supporter,
Here we go.
2024, Frank, can we do it?
100%.
Yeah, we can.
And that's, don't change the team. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We were 3/4 away from making a grand final.
Agreed.
Look out. Righto, I'm going to stop it there because otherwise that's a whole
That's
nother
a whole
podcast.
I was going to say, I'll
They can
start
talk
to
about Carlton Football Club.
loosen up there.
And we had a
Could
great
be.
presentation night together as well. We had a nice few drinks that night. It was
We
a good
did.
night.
Yeah.
Oh, that was...
Yeah.
I won't even go there. I went to a Carlton football gig. I should have said that at the start with you two a couple of weeks ago. I think I'm still recovering. So
That was a good one.
Anyway, no, it was a good fun night. Hey, a bit of a tradition we've started this season on Eventful Life, and that is we have asked the previous guest to leave the next guest a question without knowing who they are. So today's question to you: what's the weirdest thing you've ever seen at an event?
Well, if it's backstage, it's people coming on and on the wrong cue where they're scheduled to perform like 20 minutes later, and they walked on and started performing and had to be asked to come off again.
Yep. I think we've all been there.
Yeah,
at some point.
geez, that's a way to go red in your face, isn't it? So
Yeah,
lose
I
your
know.
breath. Yeah, nice one. Beautiful. Very good. Hey, Frank, thanks very much for joining us on Eventful Life. It's been an incredible conversation, and you'd think talking about hair and makeup that you could sit here and talk for an hour, but I think we could probably talk for another hour. And I think, your career's been so diverse, and you've done exceptionally well, and all kudos to you and everything that's to come in the future. But more importantly, for what you've achieved and what you've given back to our industry that we live and breathe every day, we thank you, and it takes people like yourselves to make our events shine. So we appreciate it, and thanks again for joining us on Eventful Life.
Thanks so much for coming on, mate. It's really been great just to chat for an hour or so, without distractions. So
No, it's great. Had a ball. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
thank you for listening to this week's episode of An Eventful Life. Don't forget to subscribe on your favourite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode. It makes a huge difference to us. And don't forget you can also find us on our new YouTube channel.
This show is for you, our listeners. Our aim is to bring you the most in-depth conversations and life experiences from the event industry. So if you have any feedback, suggestions on guests you would like us to interview on the show, please reach out to us through our social media channels. I'm Brad.
And I'm Shane.
See you next time on An Eventful Life.